Welcome everyone. On this session, we learn promises. Yeah, most of the time we give promises, or maybe people give us promises and we wait for some time to see the result. Yeah, that is promise in a human way. And there is also some text. Let's read this text together. We humans give or receive a promise to do some activities at some point in time. So as you can see, if you are talking about promise, it is in the future. Of course, it could be after a minute or a second or an hour or in a year's time. Anyways, in the future. Yeah, we give promise. So if we keep the promise we make, other people will be happy. But if we do not keep the promise, I think no one will be happy. So please remember, keep your promise. It's a very good thing to do. Promise in JavaScript has something in common with this example or scenario. Yeah, so a promise is a way to handle asynchronous operation in JavaScript. It allows handlers with asynchronous actions eventual success value or failure reason. What's the failure reason? For instance, maybe I can show you here. I have some request. Maybe I can. I was fetching here. For instance, I have here the dogs API. If I do this, I was expecting to get dogs API. Why? I think there it has some HTTP. Okay. As you can see, this is a list of dogs with their name, breed group, a lifespan, temperament, and the image. Yep. So how many dogs we have? Actually, about 172 dogs. If I just do additional S and if I do request, as you can see, I didn't get. I was expecting a result, but the server didn't give me a result because I didn't give the right link or endpoint. So I was expecting, it's a promise, I was expecting to get data, but actually I ended up with error, 404 error. Yeah, that is a failure reason. So it could be network. There are many reasons that your promise might be rejected or failed. So there are three states of a promise. Yeah, as I told you, we give a promise to people and people wait for the promise. And then if we actually keep our promise, that means fulfilled or resolved, right? But when the time arrives and if we don't do like or keep our promise, that means it's rejected. Maybe if we delay it, and if we don't say anything about the promise, it's pending, still in a waiting stage. So these three stages are common for promises. As you can see, even though it's in JavaScript, it's somehow similar to real life situation, right? We have learned callbacks. Whenever we use higher order function, we pass another function as a parameter, and we call that callbacks. And today we will also see that. I will just take this code from this, but let's first go to our file. This is the JavaScript, and today I will call this promises. And let's create a file, index.html. I want this to be just HTML. And now I can just write HTML to get some boilerplate. And I just change to also promises. Yeah, great. And now inside here, we can say script. Maybe I think I can also say promises.py. Oh, sorry guys, JS. I've been teaching too much of Python, so okay. Script.promises. Yeah. Now let's run this file and see. Oh yeah, promises. Great. I want to put it the other side and this to this side, and let's keep writing. Console.log. Welcome to promise. Welcome to promise session. Promises. Promises. Okay, and let's open this. Control-Shift-I. Yeah, welcome to promise. So everything is connected. Now it's time for writing our own promise. Let me show you this, but I think we didn't learn about some of this, the set time. Do you remember, guys, set time? I will show you. Count, let count is equal to 0. Let count is equal to 0. Set interval, and this set interval is actually a global function that you get it here in JavaScript, and it takes a callback. That means function. You can write function and then like this. Then if you write console.log hi, this will be, as you can see, it's really so fast there because it needs duration, maybe every 1 second. This 1000 means actually 1000 millisecond is equal to 1 second. So yeah, hi, or maybe you can. Now instead, I want to maybe increment count is equal to count plus 1, and then I want to just maybe I can write console.log count every now and then. As you can see, this is a counter. Yeah, so this will run forever. This will run forever. Okay. And also, if you want to also display a time over here, this is how you implement. Maybe we can also do that. Actually, I will show you how to implement a time. Let's target, now guys, we are not doing JavaScript, so I can say console, maybe div. I can target this by class or ID. I can call it date. Date time, and I can come here and console date time document dot query selector, and then I can access it by date time, right? And then I can create also now new date. You remember this? I hope you know this. And if you go, let me show console.log new, now. Yeah, I got now something like this. Yeah, but this might not be the the feature you want. So you can say const year now dot get full year, and const maybe month, because it's good, now dot get month, not new, and const I think I go for day, and now dot get day, the date, or let's print from this year, month, and date for day. As you can see, it's the 10th, but since this usually need +1 because since it starts from 0, and the day, I think it's better to call it the date also, this one, because it makes sense. And yeah, and now if I want this const hours or hour, now dot get hours, get hours, and then finally get what is this? Const minute, and now dot get minutes, and then the seconds last. Const seconds, now dot get seconds. Now we got everything we need. Now let's just format a time. Yeah, so the time could be, we can use a string interpolation. For instance, we can start from the month, right? Or yeah, month is good actually. So I can go month and then go for year. I think it's better to go date. Yeah, that's very good structure. And I'm forgetting then the month, and then again the year. And we should also have this. And now, for instance, if I just print this, oh, sorry, console.log. Yeah, right, something cool, right? Now what's next? The hours and the minutes and the seconds. Hour. Yeah, it looks good. This. Now, of course, we have to, play this. We have to now already 36 minutes, but this is a static data. How about if we want to make this work every second? So we have to, yeah, find a way. Actually, we can also change this to a function. I call it generate. Const they generate a time function, and I can make, and let's return this instead of consoling, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Yes, so we have this data and we want to display it over here, this. So how do we do that? Date time dot text content, and we can show generate the time. Yeah, have you seen it here? But the problem here is actually it's just constant all the time, yeah? Oh, yeah. So what's better? We should better actually do this. Set time interval actually, and the duration going to be, yeah, I won't write it by myself. Set interval, and you can say function, and we can put it here, and the duration would be 1 second. Have you seen now? It's just working now because actually it's spinning every time, re-rendering every second. Yeah. Of course, you can apply some CSS and make it look good, and you can do whatever. But now what did we use? The set interval, the set interval time. If you want this to change also fast, but 1 second, we want to make it to change every 1 second. Okay, so you have seen the importance of set interval, and we have here also set timeout. Set timeout, it is actually in the future. So it takes a callback. This one also, I prefer to write it in an arrow function. Instead, you can put it like this, yeah? So this one, for instance, if I say console log, I can say bingo when after maybe 5 seconds. Oh, that's too long. After 5 seconds, it says bingo. Let's wait, yeah? I'm waiting it here. Yeah, it says bingo. So what is this? This is planning in the future. This is actually incrementing from now on. From now on, this just increment, it's interval, but this one is actually in the future. If you can set this for a year, after a year, or after 24 hours, close this, yeah? It's so important actually. You open something up to some amount of time and then you close it. Yes, so this leads us actually to do some fake promises, yeah? Okay, now let's move on to this code and I will show you. And please. Now, let me just write this. I have a function, do something, and it takes another function. Callback, you may call it a func. Just take another func or another func. And this another func, as you can see, it takes also, this function also takes two parameters, a string and an array, and the array has been passed. And it has some duration every 2 seconds. And now let's write the callback or the func const. The callback is like that. It says it takes an error or result. And if there is an error, we are actually returning the error. Yeah. Or just return result, console.log result. As you can see, if there's an error, the error. If there is a result, if not, we return the result. So we call this function inside here. We pass it here. Okay, now let's do something. If I do something, if I call do something and I pass the callback, this is the callback function, and let's see the result. It did not go well. It did not go well because in the function, in the error part, I just put some value here. It didn't go well. But if I remove this, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, as you can see, because no error. Since there is no error, we managed to see the result. But if we have error, like in the error side, let's imagine that this is an error. The reason why we are putting this delay is just to simulate, okay? We wait for some time and see the result. As you can see, you don't see the result right away. We wait for some time and just to see the promise. So now we didn't do promise yet, okay? Because we need the promise itself. Okay, anyway, this you can also simulate by changing this to false, as in like there's no error, and it gives you the result. Okay, now let's move on to promise constructor. How do we use a promise? The way we use promise is actually, it's already a built-in object. You can say const, hey, I am giving a promise to people now, or maybe I think I can call it do promise. Do you do promise? Do promise. And now I can say new promise. I give a new promise. This is the line you need to give a promise to anyone you want. Yep. And the promise constructor actually take a callback. This is a callback. So this callback also has parameters. They are methods: resolve or reject. To resolve or to reject. And then as you can see, resolve means it's a kind of a success, resolve, success. Or we can say reject, a failure. Inside the promise, we can, okay guys, because the definition, the state of a promise is either pending, fulfilled, or rejected. We can't have all at the same time, okay? We can't have pending or fulfilled and rejected, or rejected and pending at the same time. We can have one state at a certain time. So here also, we can have either resolve or reject, yeah? Even though we are calling both, but we have only one, yeah? So if we request a server, so either we get something or we don't. There's no the two scenarios at the same time, right? Yeah. So now let's follow this material all the way down. As now, if I do promise, let's do a promise. So to get the value from here, we have to say do promise, and we have to do the then call. Hey, then result, and then we can see what is the promise. This is how, because you promised, if there is a promise, that means there will be a state that it's going pending, result, or rejected. So to know that, we have to do this, the then call. Now we should get something from line 53. Oh yeah, it was success. How about if I run this first, the reject? Yes, and code in promise failure. So it was a failure, as you can see, yeah? It was a failure. So we can't have either, both of this, but we can have either this or this. So we can't write them together like this, but we should write them differently. So with a kind of condition, yeah? So because it makes sense. So now let's remove this one. And if I do this, I can copy this because I don't have to write like arrays now and then. And if I say if skills.length, because we have some skills greater than the 0, that means if we have skills, and then we can say resolve and then we return the skills. Yeah, I'm returning the skills. But it would have been much better if we do this inside the set timeout, because it's just a simulated kind of, promise. It has some timing, right? Don't do that. And we can decide how long to wait. You can wait for 5 seconds if you want. It doesn't matter. And now else, how about else? If we don't, we reject. It's the same as, hey, go to the network, and if there's some data, bring it. If not, or yeah. So now I can say reject something. I think I can just copy this. Something goes wrong. Yeah, as you can, hey, we have arrays. Check the arrays. If there is some data, resolve them, return them. We are returning them this. If not, return this. Now let's see. Now let's wait for some time. Of course, it's long, 5 seconds. Yeah, great. How about let's now change this to, if we don't have any value inside, and we have to wait for 5 seconds. And code in promise, something wrong has happened. As you can, something wrong has happened. Yeah. Okay, now let me just get the data. As you can see, by the way, in a state of, yeah, I will come to that later, maybe, yeah. We can also do here a catch. Instead, we can say catch and then error console.log error, just to see the error. And let's wait for 5 seconds again. Yeah, but now it's the result, right? How about if we don't have value? Yeah, something wrong has happened. Since now we are using the catch, it's properly formatted error feedback. Now I'm actually, you don't have to use this console.log all the time. Sometimes you can change it to maybe console.error, and it will just format for you, and it will be red. Red, as you can see, wait, yeah, as you can see, it's red, yeah? It's up to whatever. You can keep just console.log. It will be fine. Let's just keep it console.log. Yeah, here I have used a different example, but it's just the same. That is great. This is the concept of promise. The reason why we do promise, because in network communication, we have to wait. We send a request and we have to wait. So that is why the fetch function, if you remember when we write the fetch function, we write fetch and then the URL, and then we say then response. At this stage, we get the response as JSON or text, right? And then it depends on the data you fetch. And then after this, it's another then call and the data. Now we can do this. Maybe I prefer to use here actually the cats API or the dogs API, whatsoever. I have here now console URL, the dogs API URL. It's hard. Yeah, so now I can pass it here, dogs API URL. Now if I just do console.log and data, I should get something. Yeah, have you seen 172 data? Oh, okay. So this actually, the fetch got a promise then call. The first then call gives you a JSON, and then from the JSON you have to do another then call to get the data. Yeah, so this has been, as you can see, written using promise. Yeah, let me see if we have another better example. Yeah, that's good. So it's yeah, so this also now promises, sometimes it becomes so ugly to write. So we can actually use this async and await. Okay, but this is usually use it with a function. Let me show you here. I have used a function, very simple function. Maybe I think I can write it. Const and make square is a function, yeah? And this make square is a function that return a number to its square, right? So I have to have n here. So to make this to sync and await function, we have to actually add this async. So as you can see, I used async. Async and await goes together. Now, if I want to use this make square function, and if I pass 3, let's see the value. As you can see, we saw the value over here, but it's a promise. It's not fulfilled. It says a kind of fulfilled, but we didn't get the value yet because we have to use await. Okay. How about if we try const value and await is only valid in async function and the top level bodies. Yeah. So we can't do here also. I think this function was wrong even at the first place when it was made. And this doesn't seem a very good function to demonstrate. Yeah. So we can't actually, yeah. So maybe I have to change my example, and instead, how about if we change this to fetching data? Const fetch data. And now, as you can see, we have a normal function, and we have to change this to async. So you just async in front, and inside also we have to use await. Okay, so now let's change the whole thing to async and await function. So we need this inside, of course. We need that. Okay. Then what else do we need? We have to say const in response fetch the data, no, fetch from fetch docs URL, this one. Now, since I'm using this async, I can just use await, and I don't have to go deep. So I can just go up to here, and then actually I can get my data as in response. And then again, here data await response, not like that, root response dot JSON. does it say response? Yeah, so as you can see, it's shorter code. Yeah, great. Now, if I just print it here, console.log, yeah, the data, I should get all the docs. So let's call the function fetch data and see.
Just a spelling mistake on the
where?
fetch. H at the end of fetch. H. Yeah.
Yes, thanks. And let's see, as you can see, we get every data. But now the problem of this, we use this here. How about instead we can make this also generic? We can say URL, and we can pass a URL, and then we don't have to use this. And whenever we call, we can have this, actually the dog. And if we have the cats API also, we can actually change it to cat. I think the cats API, go API, the dog. So I think just changing this, the middle to cat, give us the same thing. So let's change also from dog to cat. Yeah, as you can see, 67 cat breeds and 172 cat breeds. So now we made use of this async and await. So remember, if async is there, there should be a wait. And you can't use await without async. It's a kind of one doesn't exist without the other. There's a saying, something that goes like this, yeah? One doesn't exist without the other. So async doesn't exist without await, or await doesn't exist without async. Both come together. Either use them together, or you don't have to have async and await function. Yep, so this is very powerful, but I want to also show you another promise. This promise is actually, maybe if you want to fetch this together, this, the cat and the dog together, there is another method called promise all. Yeah, but first you can say promises, and first we have to have URL, actually, a kind of URL. So we have to have const URLs, and we can put the cat, for instance, or the dog. I think that's the cat or the dog, And then again, this one, the cat, I can remove the other. Now we have, of course, if you have main URLs, you can fetch all URLs simultaneously. So what you should do, first you map URLs, dot map, and then URL, and then actually we do fetch, and then you pass the URL. As you can see now, we are actually doing this, what do I call it? Yeah, we are mapping promises, and then we can say response, or you can say response.json, right? Yeah, we can make it, but this should be closed here. Okay, up to here, this goes to, yeah, so this, now we have a list of promises. So we have to use this promise all method, promise.all, and then I have to pass the promises, all the promises I created over here. And then we have the then call, then. From here, we can have a result, And actually, console.log result. Let's see. Have you seen something? Yeah, great. Now, not to confuse with the data we have here, let's also comment this out, and we will not get any output from anywhere. And let's imagine we have only this. Yeah. Actually, you got list of data, surprisingly. For the first one seems to be, and actually we can even structure it, honest, and I call it dogs and cats and results. And it's up to you, whatever you want to do with this, the dogs and maybe late, whatever. For instance, let me just go through for honest dog in of dog of dogs, and I want to see where are they from, origin. Okay, console.log dog dot origin. I think there's a typo. Yes, as you can see, it seems that most of the dogs are just from German. I don't believe this. How is that possible? Really? No. Let's just see by printing the dog, console.log dog. The dog, as you can see, we have 172 dogs. And if we see Germany and France, so what about this? Afghan, Iran, Pakistani, and again, nothing. Yeah, I think most of the data do not have United Kingdom and England. And how about this? Nothing, no origin. And again, no origin. Yeah, so the data is not complete. So maybe how about if we go for name, you know, the name might be interesting. Yes, different names of dog. I am not sure if I be able to read this Afne Pinscher or whatever. Afghan Hund, freaking hunting dog, whatever. So difficult names, at least for me. And these are the different names of dogs. Let's see if there's image. So to study the data, let's remove the name and see the structure again. What do we get from this image, for instance, if you want to display? Let's display by the way, let's display the dogs ones. Yeah, don't you love dogs, guys? Okay, I can say div, and I call this ID or class, and I call it dogs. And I can go here on the promise. I can create an image. Let's image a document. What? Document.create element, and I call it image. And every now and then, so where do we get the image? We have to check it like this. As you can see, we have image, and then we have URL. Let's hover on it. Yeah, this could give us. So we have to go to the image. Then we should say, let source maybe dog.image. Was it URL? Yes, it seems it was URL. I forgot it already. So let's see it again. Yeah, it's URL. So now we can say image.source is equal to the source. And then after that, we have to append, but we didn't call honest dogs docs wrapper, maybe because it's the UI document dot get elements by ID, and the ID was docs. Okay, and now I can append docs wrapper dot append child, and then the image. Yeah, we may got a different kind of docs over here already. And since it's the size is so different, it's not style and width image, then I can say max width 50% and mean width and 50%, and everything will be somehow the same. And oh yeah, as you can see, we managed, but how comes yes, of course, sometimes you go for the max, for instance, you can go 450 pixel, and we want to also just do it 450 pixels. So this is actually equal size for all dogs. Yeah, but how comes this one is still big? Yeah, but it seems that all the dogs are now the same. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so now the most important thing we saw is actually, if you want to work with the cats and the dogs at the same time, we fetch the data together and you can do whatever thing you may imagine, not only for the dogs and cats. Whenever you have different APIs and whenever you want to aggregate, or whenever you can merge the two data together, or whatsoever, this is the promise.all can help you to solve such kind of problems here. So yeah, do you have any question to ask?
No questions.
Yeah, of course, maybe let's just add some fancy, where is the wrapper? I think our wrapper is actually the docs ID, so we can make it docs and display flex, and again flex wrap. Let's see what we have now. Yeah, as you can see now, it looks like all the dogs here, but what on earth this looks like this? Some of stretched we didn't touch. Yeah, because we really stretched some of the dogs are, so small weeds could be much better. For instance, we can go for 300 and that give us a very good result, because we can remove the minimum. Yeah, this is stretched still. Okay. Now you can also work on this API if you want, and you can add quite a lot of things, and maybe things we can say margin auto, and it will be to the middle. Actually, it doesn't because this is maybe we can apply on the body. And that would be and of course we have to give this a kind of percentage width. We have to give it about 80%.
There's a little typo on the body.
Let's see. Yeah, I think I can keep this still here. The problem was just we didn't give it a. Yeah, so I can call it again. There's some H3 list of docs weights or something. Yeah, and of course, sometimes if you feel lazy, what did I touch? You can apply style, text, align center, and yeah, so maybe how about if you want to display some information whenever you hover on this, you can also show information about the different cuts. I think if you want to do that, how do you apply that actually? Maybe I can show you, I think, what you can do. Here on the image itself, even we can add an event, image.add event listener over, and let's say alert here. Just I think I was expecting the event. Is that alert or console? Let's try something else. At least, okay, maybe. Mouse in, I think, mouse enter is a proper. Yeah, I think it's not hover, it's mouse enter. Yes, but why all this? Oh, it's crazy. Because alert blocks, it's not a very, I don't use alert, okay? I don't know why I'm using also, it's very annoying, I tell you. Let's just work on the console. Yeah, it's good here. Yeah, so don't use, it's not very good. So for instance, just to know what dog that is actually, for instance, I can say console.log doc is doc. Now, if I am getting data of this, as you can see, data of this, yeah, yes, yep, yeah. So maybe you can also display the information over here, or on click, you can make this full page and make it work. Yeah, I think this is good enough for today's lesson about async await and promises. Yep, great. Let's stop it. Yeah, I can finish this and make it a fancy application, but if I do it, what are you going to do? So it's up to you to take this to the second level.